I'm Stumpy Nubs, and welcome to another edition of Behind the Sawdust, where we give you the latest in woodworking news, tips, and tools. This episode is sponsored by Rockler Woodworking and Hardware, by Tormek Sharpening Systems, and by Trend Routing Technology. Please visit their websites in the notes below the video. They pay the bills so you can get woodworking infotainment for free. Now let's get started with the woodworking news. Oak's no joke. The classic look of red and white oak has always made the lumber popular among woodworkers, but hardwood dealers report that certain cuts have been flying off the racks lately. Quarter-sawn white oak is being consumed faster than it can be cut, and not just for furniture and cabinetry. Carpenters are using it for architectural millwork and moldings in quantities not seen since the craftsman era of the last century. The industry is also gobbling up large live edge slabs of red oak for interior features in new house construction. So if you have a furniture project that requires quarter sawn or live edge oak, you may have to look a little bit harder and pay a little bit more for material. The February 1st issue of Stumpy Nubs Woodworking Journal will be available sometime around February 1st. Inside, you'll find several new videos and articles, including one about why you should mount your portable planer on top of your jointer. Another will be about how to cut tenons on a table saw sled. Another yet on how to sharpen hand planes with diamond stones, and a unique new shop cart designed that combines work-holding features of a T-track embedded bench with the downdraft sanding table. The Digital Woodworking Journal comes out twice a month, and you can read and subscribe at stumpynubs.com. A giant insatiable pony is gobbling up woodworking tools. Pony Tools, the maker of countless orange woodworking clamps and vices, has been unfolding a strategic plan for growth that has recently led to their acquisition of easy wood-turning tools. The carbide-tipped lathe tool company will continue to make their products and potentially some new ones under the Pony & Jorgensen umbrella. The deal closed this past summer, but we won't know the full effect it will have on the woodworking industry for some time. Tired of people peeing on your projects? A Pennsylvania company may have a solution. They've developed an amazing water and oil repellent coating that is being used on nightclub walls to protect them from urinating patrons. I kid you not. Finishing pro Bob Flexner investigated this himself. Of course, this leads us to two very important questions. Will it prevent spill damage on wooden table and countertops? And how do I sign up to party with Bob Flexner? More details and some video at the link in the show notes. This just in, Bob Flexner is now blogging. When the longtime woodworker isn't writing his finishing articles or checking nightclub walls for urine, he's going to be writing for the popular woodworking editor's blog. Bob was invited to join the team years ago, but declined for reasons he no longer recalls. I suspect it was because he was so involved in the nightclub scene, where I hear that people commonly relieve themselves on walls. I, for one, am very excited to be hearing more from Bob. After all, just one article has already yielded a goldmine of pee-pee jokes. Two old woodworkers, but only one coffin. This past week, Charles Neal and Roy Underhill spent a little time laughing at each other's jokes at the Woodwright School in Pittsboro, North Carolina. Charles is best known for his exquisite period furniture crafted with power tools, while Roy has changed the way a generation of woodworkers view hand tools. So in many ways, the two couldn't be more different. But get them together in a room, and you quickly see just how much they have in common, including a macabre interest in a child-sized coffin's construction. There hasn't been a pair of icons in one place this big since Willie and Waylon, Jordan and Bert, Stumpy and the Stash. 30 minutes of video was filmed at the historic scene, and it's available to paid subscribers of Charles Neal's online woodworking school at cn-woodworking.com. Garrett Hack has a new home. The master woodworker may prefer traditional furniture designs and plow horses for cultivating his rutabagas, but he's jumped into the 21st century with a new website. There you can find some of his finest work, a list of classes, and more. He even chose a catchy address, garretthack.com. Now let's check the blogs. Ever wonder how those sweet cakes of beeswax we all love to use in the shop are made? Well, that's none of your beeswax, is what I would say if I was a 12-year-old girl. But Don Williams isn't a 12-year-old girl. I know because of the beard. The Don's Barn blogger, author, and master craftsman and his wife have been producing beeswax for finishing for some time, and they've written a very interesting set of articles walking us through the process. I warn you, there are a lot of bee carcasses. So, if you faint at the sight of honey, you may want to look at this sitting down. Schwartz snuffs 6 dies in cocaine brawl. That was a working title for a recent blog by Chris Schwartz about the upcoming release of the Anarchist Design Book. Evidently, there's a fair bit of stress that comes with publishing a book, meeting deadlines, and fighting off hordes that think an anarchist is a woodworker who hides bombs inside tool chests and beneath campaign chairs. Fortunately, much of the work on the new book is finished, leaving Chris extra time to explain it all in the Lost Art Press blog, which you should definitely check out. Tool storage. Is it the most controversial subject of the craft? People have debated it. Great books have been dedicated to it. Philosophies have developed, and online woodworking forum wars have been fought over it. Now, woodworking instructor Sean Graham is out to end the debate once and for all with what he feels is the final word on the subject. He gives his opinion on what is the best, least expensive, and most convenient way to store hand tools. Here's a hint. It's on the wall. I highly recommend you read more about this groundbreaking idea at the popular woodworking editor's blog. Paul Sellers has left the country. The master woodworker and hand tool instructor has packed up the lorry and headed back to merry old England, the home he left some 30 years ago when he came to America. He actually left the US a few years back, but he made a pit stop in Wales, presumably to see the whales. But now he's come full circle. Of course, he'll still be teaching the craft and bringing up another generation of hand toolers, and I hear the native language is very similar to the American he spent the last 3 decades learning, so he'll have that going for him. We here in America wish him the best, and we'll be sure to keep in touch through his blog. Now let's move on to tips and tools. A lot of woodworkers hate finishing. They work hard to get a project just right, and then they stress over each coat of lacquer, only to have someone rub their hand over the surface and frown at their tiny bumps. I don't care how clean you get your work area, dust bumps are inevitable, especially with slow-drying finishes. Well, master woodworker Garrett Hack has an answer. He says that you can use a brown paper sack. The paper has just enough abrasive power to level things out without damaging the surface. It's not a perfect solution. It won't work well if you have a lot of large bumps, and the nibs may still be seen on the surface if it's viewed under the right light. So you should still try to keep the dust away as much as possible during the actual application process. You can read more at the link in the show notes. Tom Fidgent says you should stop wishing and start doing. The unplugged woodworker says he used to dream about certain goals, tools, and projects. Then he realized he could have those things if he got off his duff and made it happen. Goals aren't always as difficult to reach as we sometimes may think. If money is needed, it can often be found by cutting out something that appeals to you less than the goals you wish to achieve. I bought my house just by cutting back on Big Macs alone. You can't change everything at once, but you can change a little bit and give yourself a head start in tomorrow's progress. Of course, the first step is to read this inspiring blog at the link in the show notes. Our senior tool correspondent Mustache Mike is here to tell us what's new in tools.
Rockler has released a new tool innovation that may change the way you fit your drawers. The drawer front installation clamps attach to the drawer box and hold the drawer front in place, leaving the user's hands free to fine-tune position and drive mounting screws without the need for double-sided tape or brad nails driven through the finished front. Because of their design, the clamps even allow the drawer box to be pushed back in the cabinet while they're still holding the drawer front, so users can verify the alignment, make any adjustments that are necessary. You'll find out more in the link in the show notes. Anatoly Burkin of Woodworker's Journal recently spent some time with an ultra high-tech machine that is sure to drive woodworking purists crazy. It's the 5th generation of full spectrum 8 series desktop laser, a machine that of course uses a beam of light to etch designs not only into wood but plastic, metal, and even cut material up to a ½ inch thick. I'm not sure if it's right for every shop, but it's a very interesting innovation that Anatoly describes in great detail in the December issue. Eagle America has released 2 new sets of milling bits for CNC routers. The 8-piece sets are all solid carbide, and they're available in both 1/4 inch and ½ inch shafts. This sort of selection doesn't come cheap. They run about $289 for the ½ inch size. At those prices, CNC woodworking may become just a little bit expensive. Looking for one of those 20% off Harbor Freight coupons? Who isn't? It seems like we get them all the time in our email, except when we're actually needing one to go to the store. Well, if there is a bookstore near your local Harbor Freight outlet, stop in and check out the magazine rack. You know, nearly every issue of some woodworking magazines, particularly Woodworkers Journal, Wood, and Woodcraft magazine, contain a 20% off coupon in the ad for Harbor Freight. And since these coupons can often be used even on sale items, you should never buy anything at Harbor Freight without one. That is, as long as the money you save with the coupon is greater than the cover price of the magazine, because they don't allow scissors and magazines in the bathroom. Believe me, they are watching.
Well, that about wraps things up for this edition of Behind the Sawdust. Be sure to check out the latest issue of Stumpy Nubs Woodworking Journal, full of videos, articles, homemade tools, woodworking tips, and more. You can subscribe for free at stumpynubs.com. And don't forget to support our sponsors, Rockler Woodworking and Hardware, Tormek Sharpening Systems, and Trend Routing Technology, because we could not do it without them. And by supporting them, you're supporting us. I can't tell you how much we appreciate that. You should sit back and have yourself a cold one, because you've earned it, my friend.